All right. Well, I'm probably a few seconds early, but I've always said it's better to be early than late. Morning, everyone. Today is the 9th of April, 2018. I'm Roy Potter, and this is the live stream version of the Potter Expositor. Thank you for coming. And hopefully, everything as we these types of caveats and concerns we always say, but hopefully the sound is all right. Of course, I know the picture will probably dance around a little bit because of the connection, but we'll go ahead and get started. I called this live stream Toxic Politics because, it's always been that way with very few exceptions. Mark Twain in his day said, every man should be ashamed of his own government. And that's very, very true. Actually, I think a number of people have said that. And then if you look in the description box below, you'll see I have a quote from a great American by the name of Jeff Cooper. Now, Jeff Cooper was a military officer, and then he went into firearms instruction. Was one of the country's, probably one of the world's best firearms instructors, a great school down at Gunsight in Arizona, I believe was the name of it. He died many years ago, but he wrote a book, and it was called To Ride, Shoot Straight, and Speak the Truth. Now, Jeff Cooper would probably go along with just about anything America does, which I think would probably be a tragedy if that's how he looked at it. But more than likely, he was one of those my country right or wrong, even though he would be critical of politicians and others who didn't follow their oaths of office. I believe that he would say that. But what's happened to us? What's happened? I would like to be the great philosopher and be able to figure all of this out and to say what it is that we need to do to get back on the straight and narrow, to get back to what this nation really could have been, its potential, instead of what it has become. Now, I realize we're trying to reboot that at this point, but you can't do it when you fail to ride, shoot straight, and speak the truth. You can't use politics as a reason to commit lies of commission or omission. Because what you do is from the very top, you rip the fabric of society and of honesty and integrity by those that are supposed to be its greatest defenders and leaders. Indeed, when I was a police officer, they said that police officers had to be held to a higher, and in the military, had to be held to a higher standard than the rest of society. Does that not count for politicians as well? Should it not count for politicians as well? Yes, even more so. Augustus Caesar, he was on his deathbed, and he wasn't, he was a fairly good ruler, actually, in a lot of ways. Again, I didn't particularly like the idea of conquering other peoples for whatever reason. But he did say on his deathbed something like, and I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something like, I hope that I played the game of life well. Well, I'm sure he found out the answer to that question shortly thereafter. Somehow we always think we can put off the payment for our sins, for our wrongdoings. And unfortunately, politicians are the most guilty of that. And of course, corrupt business people in general. But this is about the political nature of things. So what is the solution? Everybody's bantering that about. How can we fix this? What do we need to do? How is this going to work? Well, again, John Adams said that our form of government was only going to work for a righteous and spiritual people. It was wholly unable to do so for any other type of people. And so the real root cause is that we allowed our nation to rot from the head down. Why is it that Congress can exempt itself from laws like insider trading? Or, here's a really good one for you. Is it really right that people that hold office can have dual citizenship in another country? Indeed, if you or I were to be an agent of a foreign government for business or whatever, we would be required to register that with the government. I don't know the answer to this question, but are people in government that hold public office required to reveal that they have dual citizenship with, say, Israel or Saudi Arabia or any other place, as well as America, the United States? Are they required to do that? They should be if they're not. And I'll take it a step further. That should prohibit them from being in office, elected or otherwise. So the answer to our quagmire here is some 230 years old. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to get back to the Constitution of the United States. Because with all of its faults, and there aren't many considering how that came about, there is no other solution except God himself. That's the closest thing that men can do to right what's going wrong in our country right now. Next to God, that's it. No man, because all men are corrupt. Doesn't matter who they are. Or they're going to make mistakes, or both, intentionally or not. So the only way is, as Thomas Jefferson said, to chain down these criminals, these potential criminals, by the chains of the Constitution. And if we have leaders in our government who fail to apply the constitutional law as it was intended, then they are criminals themselves, because they are aiding and abetting those who would seek to destroy us. Before I forget, one reason why I decided to do this live stream today is because I'm going back into surgery today, and I'm sure that I won't be up and about for a few days like last time. So that's one reason why I decided to do that. So this will be the last time I talk for at least 3 or 4 days, maybe longer, depending upon how things go. And there are some people that like live streams because there's some interaction, between you all and with me. And then others want, well, just spit out your information, just get it done and over with. Give us the information so we can move along. Hey, nobody's got you by a set of handcuffs tying you to this thing. Okay, you don't need to stay here. Now there are advantages to making quick posts, and I do that. As you can see, if you look back the last few days, I've done a few of those. But this is a little different, okay? So if you don't like it, go somewhere else, okay? I'll just leave it at that. Okay. There are a lot of people right now who have been, the government calls anything a conspiracy theory. That, of course, was a CIA term. They did that to get people so they wouldn't talk about evidence other than what the government presents. But what makes government think they're so special is this exclusivity of what they consider to be information, exclusivity of knowledge, right? That's the big thing. I know something that you don't. We know something that you don't. It puffs them up in pride, and then they get away with doing some horrible things. Very few things should be classified or secret, because that foments the type of disgusting, despicable activities that have happened in our government over the last, since its inception really, but particularly in the last 60 years. Back to the Constitution is the way to handle this. And those who refuse to apply it, and they're going to be people who say, well, it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that. Hey, a child can understand the golden rule. For example, what's happening in Dearborn, Illinois, I believe it's Deerfield, Illinois, right now. In 1960, Eisenhower had to send the military into Alabama to enforce the Civil Rights Act at that time, because the government of Alabama was refusing to do it. Now we get on a slippery slope here. The federal government should never be used to enforce unconstitutional law like they were trying to do at Bundy Ranch. But by the same token, it's the federal government's responsibility to make sure that we have a Republican form of government and that the Bill of Rights is sustained and enforced. Right? So, we have a municipality, a township, village, whatever it's called, in Deerfield, Illinois. It's just outside of Chicago, apparently, where they've outlawed any high-capacity, they call them assault weapons. Of course, and these people don't know what they're talking about. But the point is, what good is Jeff Sessions? I mean, we've all been asking that for a long time. And, there are people who are defending him for what he's doing behind the scenes, whatever. Well, you know what? He assigns one attorney, supposedly. I know he's got some support from the IG and, in his office or whatever. But the point is, one attorney assigned to this debacle in Deerfield, Illinois, to tell them, hey, you back off, you repeal that ordinance, or we're coming after you. We'll even send in the military to make sure that you can't do what you're forcing on your people, taking away their right to self-defense with the weapon that they choose. Now, I realize there was a federal court decision that said that what this city had done was constitutional, but that just proves my point. And I do believe at this point that federal judges that defy the Constitution should be arrested. Yes, absolutely. Not just impeached, not just called, I don't know what they call it when senior court justices, I guess, defrock a judge. I don't really know what the procedure is, but it's got to be worse than that. It's got to really sting them. It's really got to put them down. We're allowing this thing to happen. And unfortunately, despite the fact that I understand the difficulties that President Trump is under, it doesn't do any good when you fail to ride, shoot straight, and speak the truth. We were promised we would never be lied to. Lies of omission and lies of commission. And I'm getting a little tired of it. I'll get back to that in a little while. So where is Jeff Sessions to enforce the Constitution, to protect the civil rights, the unalienable rights, of the people of Deerfield, Illinois? Where is he? Now they're working on protecting the American people in California. They're going after the California government, I would hope. The AG of California and the governor should both be arrested. Absolutely, 100%. I go along with that. And anybody else in that foul cesspool, stench-filled piece of crap they call the California legislature. The answer we've had for 230 years, and no one is willing to use it. So we're not going to be able to fix it. This is not one of my happier live streams, because I'm getting tired of the double speak. We're told one thing and then something else happens. We're told to take the guns first and then do due process. It's one thing to make an honest mistake in interpretation of the Constitution. It's another thing to have institutionalized deception and lies to destroy it. Pardon me a minute. Okay. Apparently they're trying to do the same thing in Boulder, Colorado. This is going to get more and more obvious. More and more places are going to do it. We can't pussyfoot around on this anymore. I realize this is a delicate situation. And maybe there are people trying to prevent this thing from blowing up. But at this point, and I said this in past videos, there is no reconciling the Marxist left with the conservatives, Christians in this country any longer. It's past any possibility of reconciling these differences. Why? Because they hate the Constitution, they hate the Bill of Rights, or they wouldn't be trying to take away your Second and First Amendments. They've already pretty much destroyed the other ones. We can't pussyfoot around with it anymore. So what am I saying? Well, as an example, the leftist mainstream media has accused people like myself and those who say that there are these problems as conspiracy theorists, which is a real nice term that the CIA put out, because they're CIA assets. Now they're saying that Trump is going to start false flags. And Steve Pieczenik has already accused him of that. I don't know that that's true, although I do find it extremely disturbing that he has still not told us the truth about Las Vegas or Parkland or any number of other things. But they claim that, he's going to do these false flags. And that now there's this announcer on CNBC called, I think his name is John Ladarola, something like that, along with the Young Turks, say that Trump could do this false flag thing so that he could stop the blue wave that's coming with the midterms. Isn't this interesting that they deny that these things can happen when the left do them, but then make these accusations, the same truths that they do, they now make against Trump. And I hope to God Trump never, ever goes along with any kind of a false flag. I'm not sure about this thing in Vegas. I'm not accusing him, but silence is really troubling. There are people in the federal government and the FBI that should be arrested as of right now. Right now. So we get back to the SES, which is controlled by the British Crown. If any of you were listening to AIM and their interview with Field McConnell yesterday, you would have gotten a good taste of that. We all know that MI6 helped to spy on Trump and the Trump people. And then Trump's going to turn around and believe that those same group of people, including the CIA, that there was nerve agent or whatever used in Douma, Syria. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Who am I talking about? Us. We keep electing these people to make a difference, thinking that's going to make a difference, and it never, ever does. Now, I'm not saying that Trump doesn't have a lot against him. He does. But when that happened, I just knew. And of course, a lot of us have. But then I see other people that are saying, yeah, go kick the crap out of the Syrians, especially Assad. You know what? Well, this is toxic politics, and it's going to destroy everything. And I'm just disgusted with it. I even thought about the possibility of coming on and just saying hi to everybody and then not saying a damn thing. Maybe some of you would like that, especially the trolls. Look at Potter, he's just sitting there, he's got a thumb up his butt. He's not going to talk. Because what good does it do? And yet at the same time, if we don't sound the alarm, then we're as guilty as the people that are doing it. It's a real catch-22. So now they're going to accuse us and Trump of doing false flags to make sure that there's not a Dem takeover. We don't have to do that because they're doing it to themselves. Antifa, BLM, the communist left. They're doing it. They're fomenting all this stuff. The elements in the government that are nefarious, if they did a false flag, it would be to blame it on our side, on this side. And I hate to talk about sides, but it's irreconcilable, ladies and gentlemen. There's no fixing this any longer. It's impossible. And I said this was coming. I've talked about it for years, that the Spirit of God was going to descend on the people, And all flesh was going to be able to get this spirit. And there would be some that would accept it and do the right thing, and there would be those who reject it. And we're seeing that happen today. Maybe not like we would have liked to, but it's definitely happening. What are we going to do about it? Somebody has to grow a set of kahunas and enforce the Constitution to the letter. To the letter. And anybody who doesn't goes to jail. There is no other way, short of God intervening. There isn't. Okay, so I keep hearing these things about, Trump, he's hiring these people in Goldman Sachs and the deep state and all that, because you get your enemies real close and you figure out what they're doing so that you can go and counter their moves. Okay. Yeah, okay. Then answer me this. Why is the DHS under Trump, his Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and I never can say her name right, Kirstjen Nielsen, putting together a database of news sources and bloggers to keep track of what they're saying because they might influence an election? What kind of tyranny, baloney, treason, criminal activity is that? Trump should call her up right now and say, you cease and desist that now. Now. And if she fails to follow the order, fire her. And I don't like Nikki Haley for the same kind of reasons. So, he's keeping these people there so that he can get the inside information. Well, he's losing time to react. And then I see this thing in Syria happen. How many times? Now, some people are making a big deal about his tweet where he said, the verification thing. Well, I also tweeted out the other day, and I'm going to mention it here, Stefan Molyneux's little discussion on this whole Syria thing and Trump's reaction. And he reads through his tweets. And frankly, I read it and I thought, this is a statement so that he can do anything and get away with it. In other words, if he decides to do nothing, he can use it as an excuse. If he decides to do something, he can use it as an excuse. He's got the word verification in there, and people are saying the key word is verification. That's the key word. Did you forget about everything else he said, ladies and gentlemen, the people that are defending that? I'm going to say it again, Jeff Cooper's book. To ride straight, shoot straight, and speak the truth. Oh, you can't do that in politics. Why not? And those who don't should be punished. The number of secrets and things that are kept by the government should be kept to a minimum. But this isn't about the American people anymore. This is about transnational, international combines and combinations. And look at Ryan and McConnell. I don't mean to make this an entirely complaining session. I understand the difficulties, but it's one of those things where, okay, the arrests again. We keep saying one of the, and when we talk about the arrest, I hear these people say, "Oh, see, they're making these pedophile arrests over there, and they're making these pedophile arrests over there, and they're doing these human trafficking arrests over here." Yeah, that's true, and it has increased under Trump. Absolutely, it has. And I understand the military principle of mopping up, of getting the low, the front line infantry before you can get back to the command and control. I understand all that. It's best if you can hit the command and control first. And I think that Trump could have, but he hasn't. So I understand going after all these little people first. But when we say where are the arrests, we're talking about Clinton, Comey, McCabe, Brennan, Mueller. On down the line. And that never happens. And a lot of people are starting to see that there's a two-tiered system of justice in this country. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is disgusting. And if it can't be fixed, it will destroy us. It really already has, but it's going to get worse. So, Ms. Nielsen, Stalin would have loved her. Hitler would have loved her. What's the next step? They're going to control voting again. Trump still hasn't, gotten rid of that. The DHS controlling voting. Nobody's thought about that, but that hasn't been taken away yet. That's still under the tail. That's just sitting there like a cancer, like a canker sore that's about ready to erupt. And they're not doing anything about it. And now we have this. So people's political speech, they can find out who's who. Well, they know that anyway, but the point is they're making this institutionalized control of speech by the DHS. Wow. Toxic politics. I got to mention a little thing about the Lucent company and the ongoing development of the 5G and the RFID chips. This is around the corner, ladies and gentlemen, and I think the 5G is all in place now, except for the satellites. I don't think they're all done yet. Are all these things that are happening, all these promises that have been made to us, either intentionally or unintentionally by certain leaders, are all these things happening to keep us concentrated on everything else so that we don't see the panopticon prison that is being built around us and even inside of us? Remember, Comey said, we have a right to even access your thoughts. Where do you think he got that? From this whole 5G thing. He knew it was coming. Now, Trump has stopped the Chinese from getting involved in it here, but apparently not our own intelligence services, which helped the Chinese anyway. The intelligence services take in, I hope you understand this, the intelligence services, the Five Eyes as we call them, are a nation unto themselves, and everything else outside of them is the enemy, including their own nation that they're supposed to be protecting. I hope everybody finally understands that these are the secret societies that are really serious, that undermine the right of the people to govern themselves. The intel community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. I've been saying it for how long? And to this day, Trump will call out the MSM as being fake news, but he won't go the next step and say you're being paid and controlled by the CIA. He won't take it to that next necessary step. Why? Well, they almost killed his daughter and his son-in-law. They almost killed his son, Don. Vanessa, his soon-to-be ex-daughter-in-law, received some white, well, it was harmless, but it was a threat. It was a warning, some white powder. I never said that he wasn't going to get threatened with the lives of his family. I never said he wasn't. The point is he asked for the job. And now we're pussyfooting around. We know damn well that Russia didn't give that nerve agent to the Skripals. We know that. That was done by MI6, most likely. The same people that are trying to help frame Donald Trump. We also know, because it's obvious, that Assad had nothing, who protects Christians, all faiths there. Of course he's against ISIS, but this whole thing with our alliance with Saudi Arabia and Israel, and they're the same people, folks. I've been telling you that for years. There's no difference. That's the Mutt and Jeff routine. They're the same people. Basically the same philosophy. Iran has some problems, but we caused it back in 1953 when we overthrew Mossadegh. And you heard me talk about this. And then we allowed a Shiite authoritarian religion to take it over. We did that. by our actions. And now we want to exact our justice. Really, really. I know Iran's a problem, but these things are manipulated at very, very high levels, because the way you take down Russia is to go after Iran. Why do we even have to do this? This is toxic politics. If you don't balance your checkbook, what happens to you? You get in financial trouble, right? And yet, for some reason or other, the government has never been required to do that, because it's the government. And I know this is all the same complaints that have been made before, but I'm going to go back to it. The answer is strict interpretation of the Constitution. And I know that's a fighting point. Then let it be. Because there is no other way out of this. There isn't any other way. I like the idea, I've been critical of Trump wanting to fix the economy. I realize that people have to be able to, to be fed to think right. I understand that. I do understand that. But it can be overdone too. I put out a video the other day that it's obviously that there's some real discord in the DOD. Now they're trying to, against Trump. It's always been there, just like it has been in the other agencies. The SES, Serco, the British Crown, all of that Field McConnell talks about are controlling us. There's no doubt about that. That's why I say, why can people have dual citizenship, especially with Israel or one of the commonwealths of the British Empire, and hold office in this country? That should be forbidden. It should be illegal. Period. End of story. But there's this discord, and now they're trying to make it look like these Marine generals are really, and I can hear the arguments going on if they're even making them. Look, sir, if we don't stay in Syria, ISIS is going to take over. That's the first thing. We already know that's a bunch of baloney, right? So the next thing, to keep peace in the area, we really need to stay there because Israel's not going to like it if we pull out. And they could go nutso, sir. They really could. The Israelis, who do you think sent those? Why did the Israeli jets go into Syria and bomb that airfield? Was it because Trump knew that? He said he was going to do something, but then he got this political blowback from his base, so he decided to pull back and let Israel do it? Or is the real situation that Netanyahu got upset that he made the announcement that he was going to leave Syria, and so, like ISIS, he's going to cause a problem? Do I like Netanyahu? No. Period. No, I don't. They're the same people as Saudi Arabia. I've been saying that for a long time. We're being gamed on this. Does Trump know? Yeah, I think he does. I hope that he's trying to arrange these things so he can put these people in their place, but I don't know. Not when you've got the British Crown and the Rothschilds and the et cetera, controlling everything he does inside our government. And I'm not even, I'm on the fence with Trump sometimes. I say we need to support him in his righteous things, but then this happens. Even saying the things he said about Assad as that animal Mossad. Assad, I'm sorry, that was a Freudian slip, wasn't it? That animal Assad, what? Let me remind you what he said, and I think he actually did say this. I seem to recall that in an interview he said that you should kill terrorists' families. Didn't he say that? And then in this little thing where the generals were giving him a rough time about Syria, he said, well, kill their families too, kill them all. Is that any different, really, than using if Assad did do it, and he didn't. But if Assad did do it and he killed the terrorist families, isn't that what Trump said to do? Why this hypocrisy? Because of the type of weapon that was used? They're still dead. They're still maimed. This pretend self-righteousness and indignation is not becoming of President Trump. He should speak the truth.
Jeff Cooper, again, I'm going to quote it again, to ride, shoot straight, and speak the truth, which he promised he was going to do anyway. But he hasn't outed the intelligence communities. He's allowed his DHS to start gathering information on people like me and like, all these other bloggers, etc., because we might be speaking out. Nikki Haley's in the UN spouting off her mouth. I don't even think she knows what she's talking about half the time. No, most of the time. When he appointed her as the UN ambassador, I that along with his statement that he wasn't going to prosecute the Clintons just about floored me. And now we've got John Bolton. Oh, and John Bolton's in there because he understands the inside baseball. Mm-hmm. Right. Or is it to get ready for the world war, to push us in that direction? Trump's got a real narrow window to show us who he really is here. And I don't think we've got 3 or 4 months to give it to him. He's got to do it sooner than that. So we had the aircraft problems with the military, like 5 incidents in a week. We've had, and I mentioned this, of course, this is a rehash of what I said the other night. We had the same kinds of problems that happened to Ivanka's helicopter, Don Jr.'s helicopter, and of course, there was even a situation that happened to Trump, and I think it was in 2006. And this is the FedEx and that's what Field McConnell calls it. Don't ask me to tell you what the acronym is, what it means. I don't remember. But basically, it's part of the computer system where the engines can be taken control of by cyber weapons. And so, these things have been happening. Then we have the fire in Trump Tower. Who really knows what that was about? And the reactions from the left about it. These people, every day, every minute of every day on the left, prove who and what they are. Every single day. They're violent, they're nasty, they're evil. Not just because they have an ideology or a political outlook that's different than mine. That's fine. But what are they willing to do about it? And here we sit and nobody does anything. When is Hillary going to get arrested? When are we going to see that this really is happening? Oh, we can't act that fast. It's been 3, 4, 5 decades and we can't clean it up overnight. I tell you what, you get a carbon monoxide leak in your house and you better fix it right now. It may have been around just leaking a little bit over a number of years and you get headaches and you don't know why. You go to sleep and you have a hard time waking up, you're dizzy, but you never go solve the problem. And it gets worse, and it gets worse, and it gets worse, until one day you've got a choice to make. You either take out the cause of the carbon monoxide poisoning or you die. Okay. When is he going to turn off the chemtrails? I've been hearing undercurrents that's one of his concerns. We have a picture of him inside of an aircraft looking at the tanks. So this was an aircraft that actually had the tanks in there. It's not just going through the jet fuel. Is he really aware of it? Does he know what's going on? Does he understand the implications and the dangers of it? Is he going to stop it? His own old CIA guy, Brennan, admitted that it's called stratospheric aerosol injection. When are we going to have action on that? Oh, we can't do everything at once. No, certainly not when you're getting people like, what's her name again? Kirstjen Nielsen, Nikki Haley, and Goldman Sachs. And I know that the SES is in there too. I wonder if Nielsen's SES. He's got to get real energetic Oh, he is. Boy, he's got more energy than Hillary would have ever had. Yeah. That's true. But being able to do jumping jacks doesn't mean that you're moving down the road. And I hate to talk like this, but this last thing with Syria, if he didn't call up Netanyahu and tell him to take the action because he knew he politically couldn't because of his base, if he did that, or if Netanyahu did it on his own to force his hand, either way, Netanyahu should be in a lot of trouble right now. And Trump his feet need to be held to the fire for failing to act appropriately. What was appropriately? Call it for what it was, a false flag, which it was. Oh, he knows more than we do. We don't know everything. Come on, people. If you really believe that, if you really honestly believe that he knows a whole lot of information about it and we don't understand what's going on, and that maybe the Russians or the Syrians really did do these things, if you really believe that with all of the other evidence, people get convicted on circumstantial evidence. and yet here we don't even get the benefits of that, really. They hide it from us. Create doubt. Well, that's what the defense is supposed to do, right? Create doubt in the minds of the jurors. Yeah, but we're talking about war here. We're talking about doing these things to create a situation where people want to see Armageddon. They want to eliminate billions of people. Really. So we're going to allow that to occur. We're going to say, well, it's because he knows something we don't know. All you got to do is look at the fruits on the ground. If this isn't fixed soon, and it's not going to be easy, it's going to be a very, very messy, nasty deal. But if it isn't fixed soon, there's not going to be any hope. Okay? There just isn't. All right. One last thing on Syria. Was this a chess move? So that he was told by the deep state, I'm talking about Trump here, was Trump told by the deep state, look, there's, and I've heard, I think it was Molyneux that talked about this, or somebody else, I'm not sure, but it was Lionel. You can do all these things here. We're going to give you this list of things that you said you want to do, and we'll let you do those. But you're not going to touch Hillary. You're not going to touch Brennan. You're not going to touch Comey. You're not going to touch McCabe. You get the idea, right? We'll let you do this much with sending that three carrier, those three carrier battle groups to the Asia, but leave Israel alone. Don't tell Israel to get in line. Leave that one alone. If you do that, okay, we'll give you this little thing. If you're willing to trade Syria and what you wanted to get out of there, if you'll trade that for your agenda here in the U.S., how's that? Will you take that? He said he's a negotiator. Are you going to negotiate with the devil? Are you going to allow more Christians to be killed? Assad protects Christians. Even Saudi Arabia doesn't do that. They don't protect Christians. If you go there, you better do exactly what the Saudis tell you to do. You better not even have a Bible out where they can see it. A New Testament. Well, Bible, period. What are we doing? What are we doing? Is that what happened here? I don't know. There are a few of these possibilities, but all of them are bad. All of them. Well, I guess I'm done. Like I said, this will probably be the last live stream I'll do for a few days, and I doubt that I'll do any recorded posts either, because I know I'm going to be swelled up and bruised and probably talking like I've got marbles in my mouth. A lot of people say, well, you do that anyway. Come on, Roy, chin up. Lisa loves Schubel. Come on, Roy, chin up. Hey, You know, I speak my mind, and I always have, and there's no sense in sugarcoating this. We can't sugarcoat it. We have to call it for what it is. Jeff Cooper. To ride, shoot straight, and speak the truth. We've allowed these politicians to not do that for too long. Hold dual citizenship, which is in violation, in my estimation, of many federal laws. They shouldn't hold public office if they have any loyalties to a foreign power at all. I think Schumer, I'm not certain about this. I can't accuse anybody, but I've heard that, for instance, Charles Schumer has dual citizenship with Israel. I've heard that. I don't know that for a fact. And others in the Congress and the Senate do as well. And if that's true, they should be required to denounce the citizenship from the other country or be taken out of office. And the same with the SES, who don't go through any background checks or anything like that. They're just put into the positions. And they can also be even members of foreign nations like the Iwans. You notice nothing. What's happening with the Iwan thing? I saw this the other day too. You know, this is the second biggest spy scandal, or maybe this is the first spy scandal amongst the others that have happened in the history of our country. And the ties of the Iwans, yeah, there's something there in Pakistan, but where the real connection is with Israel. And we're not willing to call it out for what it is. And if Israel, in fact, bombed that airfield to put Trump in a bad situation, Trump needs to exact from Israel a serious punishment. We can't, that's an ally that will undermine us like that, if that's what happened. Well, with Trump's rhetoric and his bravado and his buffoonery, in my estimation, in that tweet, calling Assad an animal, when he himself said to kill terrorist families. What hypocrisy. That's the kind of thing I can't abide. I can't abide that. I'm losing my mind. You know, Mark, you know what? You don't have one. You're assenting to the destruction of your loved ones, if you even have any. Maybe you don't. Because you haven't got eyes to see or ears to hear. You've got your head so far up your own ass. I might just block you if you show up again. I don't block many people, but that's ridiculous. Oh, somebody's bringing up Q. How did I know that was going to happen? Yeah? Well, this weekend really proved that Q knew what he was talking about, didn't it? You know, I'm not going to say any more than that. Okay. I don't see much else going on here. We've been doing this for 50 minutes. And I do have to go get ready because the surgery's today. So I'm going to go. And I'm sorry I didn't, spread some good news. I was hoping I could. But, we're witnessing toxic politics. People want to go out and be touched and all that by Trump. Oh, wonderful. I think he'd be a great guy. But no, wait a minute. Call him out. What he should have done on this, first of all, his generals who didn't want to pull out of Syria. Maybe they're concerned, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, like I said before, maybe they're concerned, if we do that, sir, Israel's going to be out of control. We're really there to control Israel. I don't know that's true. Like I said, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Regardless, to believe in any way, shape, or form that attack was done by Assad or that the Russians poisoned with nerve agent or whatever it was, that double agent in Britain. These things, for Trump to even repeat that nonsense causes me to lose faith in him. Just merely repeating that bullshit. Okay, I'm done. Thanks to everybody for coming. Um, Sometimes you just got to call it the way you see it. And I know a lot of you don't like that. Some of you do, or maybe most of you like it and some of you don't. I don't know. But that's what you get when you come here. If you don't like it, don't come back. I'm not here for followers. I'm not here for clicks. You know, I don't care if YouTube takes out, a bunch of my followers, drops your numbers. None of that matters to me. Okay? Like I said, maybe it's vacation time. At some point, I thought it was a few years ago, and then I thought, well, okay, I guess I could make a few more efforts here. But at some point in time, you just got to realize that there's no changing the course when people allow it. How many people did Tracy Beans get in that march she had in D.C.? How many did she get? Now, of course, they don't have people like Soros paying for buses and giving them $300 a day or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, they didn't have that. But I don't think she had many people. I mean, from the pictures I saw, there may have been, a couple thousand tops. When they bring in all those little kids that don't know anything, that should be in school learning of course, there were a lot of adults in there too that use this for their own benefit, but there were I've heard any numbers when they did the anti-Second Amendment march, anywhere between 250 and 500,000, whatever. And we can't get any more to help Tracy out. Well, I didn't go because I've got this thing coming up today. I couldn't take a chance on missing it. So where were you all? Could you go? No, you're trying to support your family. See how they get you? See how they get you? Trump needs to take the risk of securing the Constitution and the Bill of Rights against all enemies, foreign and domestic, today. Stop worrying about overseas when your own house is in disorder. And that's not going to be easy because he's got the military-industrial complex, the deep state, the DOD, the Pentagon, all trying to tell him, no, the problem's over there. And I told you they were going to give him trouble on the border. They have. Governor Brown, for instance, out of Oregon. Don't you think, oh yeah, don't kid yourself. I honestly believe that she was approached by the Clintons or Soros. Oh, absolutely. Okay, well, I can go on and go on and go on. But I'm done for today. Thanks for coming. Really, and I mean this sincerely. You got to pray, but you got to be loud too. You got to be loud, which is why I get like this. Because if I talk with neuro-linguistic programming and not get excited and try to make you calm so that you can sleep well and tell you about the things that are easy to understand and preach lies and deceit so that you can not have to worry about life, then what am I? I'm a devil. I'm a devil that's trying to deceive you. And I cannot bring myself to do that. Pray and stay out of the way. God bless you. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. God bless the Second American Revolution that is having a great deal of trouble at the present time. Hopefully the right number of people will wake up and this will become a land of refuge against the storm that's coming upon the world, where those who do not want to take up swords against their neighbor may come for safety. May God bless Donald Trump in all of his righteous endeavors and distill upon him the gift, spirit of discernment and the courage to carry it out. Good day, everybody.